Yes. Thought so. Sloping into the empire. Gone. Plain soda would do him good. Where Pat Kinsella had his harp theater before Whitbread ran the Queen's. Broth of a boy. Dying about Chicago business with his harvest moon face and a pokey bonnet. 3 pretty maids from school. How time flies, eh? Showing long red pantaloons under his skirts. Drinkers, drinking, laughed spluttering, their drink against their breath. More power, Pat. Coarse red, fun for drunkards, guffaw and smoke. Take off that white hat. His parboiled eyes. Where's he now? Bigger somewhere. The harp that once did starve us all. I was happier then. Or was that I? Or am I now I? 28 I was. She 23. When we left Lombard Street West something changed. Could never like it again after Rudy. Can't bring back time. Like holding water in your hand. Would you go back to then? Just beginning then? Would you? Are you not happy in your home, you poor little naughty boy? Wants to sew on buttons for me. I must answer. Write it in the library. Grafton Street gay with house awnings lured his senses. Muslin prints, silk dummies and dowagers, jingle of harnesses, hill off thuds lowering in the bacon causeway. Thick feet that woman has in the white stockings. Hope the rain mucks them up on her. Country bred chow bacon. All the beef to the heels rim. Always gives a woman clumsy feet. Molly looks out of plum. He passed, dallying, the windows of Brown Thomas, silk mercers. Cascades of ribbons. Flimsy China silks. The tilt urn poured from its mouth a flood of blood-hued poplin, lustrous blood. The Huguenots brought it here. Lockhouse a grave Santa. Terra. Great chorus that. Terra. Must be washing rainwater. Mire beer. Terra, bomb. Concussions. I'm a long time threatening to buy one. Sticking them all over the place. Needles in window curtains. He bared slightly his left forearm. Scrape, nearly gone. Not today anyhow. Must go back for that lotion. For her birthday perhaps. June Ag September 8th. Nearly 3 months off. Then she mightn't like it. Women won't pick up pins. Say it cuts low. Gleaming silks, petticoats on slim brass rails, rays of flat silk stockings. Useless to go back. Had to be. Tell me all. High voices. Sunwarm silk. Jingling harnesses. All for a woman, home and houses, silk webs, silver, rich fruits spicy from Jaffa. A gentle new time. Wealth of the world. A warm human plumpness settled down on his brain. His brain yielded. Perfume of embraces all him assailed. With hungered flesh obscurely, he mutely craved to adore. Duke Street. Here we are. Must eat. The Burton. Feel better then. He turned to Bridges Corner, still pursued. Jingling, hill off thuds. Perfumed bodies, warm, full. All kissed, yielded, in deep summer fields, tangled pressed grass, and trickling hallways of tenements, long sofas, creaking beds. Jack, love. Darling. Kiss me, Reggie. My boy. Love. His heart astir, he pushed in the door of the Burton restaurant. Stink gripped his trembling breath, pungent meat juice, slush of greens. See the animals feed. Men, men. Perched on high stools by the bar, hats shoved back, at the tables calling for more bread no charge, swilling, wolfing gobfuls of sloppy food, their eyes bulging, wiping wetted mustaches. A pallid, sway-faced young man polished his tumbler, knife, fork, and spoon with his napkin. New set of microbes. A man with an infant's saucy-stained napkin tucked round him shoveled gurgling soup down his gullet. A man spitting back on his plate, half-masticated gristle, gums, no teeth to chew it. Chump chop from the grill. Bolting to get it over. Sad boozer's eyes. Bitten off more than he can chew. Am I like that? See ourselves as others see us. Hungry man is an angry man. Working tooth and jaw. Don't. Oh? The bone. That last pagan king of Ireland, Cormac in the show, old Bowen choked himself at Sletty southward of the Bowen. Wonder what he was eating. Something voluptuous. Saint Patrick converted him to Christianity. Couldn't swallow it all, however. Roast beef and cabbage. One's the smells of men. His gorge rose. Spat and sawdust, Swedish warm as cigarette smoke, reek of plug, spilt beer, men's beer piss, the stale of ferment. Couldn't eat a morsel here. Fellow sharpening knife and fork to eat all before him, old chap picking his toes. Slight spasm, full, chewing the cud. Before and after. Grace after meals. Look on this picture and on that. Scoffing up to Grobby with sopping sippets of bread. Lick it off the plate, man. Get out of this. He gazed around the stool and table eaters, tightening the wings of his nose. Two touts here. One corn and cabbage. That fellow ramming in a feffel of cabbage down as if his life depended on it. Good stroke. Give me the fidgets to look. Safer to eat from his 3 hands. Tear limb from limb. Second nature to him. Born with a silver knife in his mouth. That's sweetie, I think. Or no. Silver means born rich. Born with a knife. But then the illusion is lost. An ill-geared server gathered sticky clattering plates. Rock, the head bailiff, standing at the bar blew the foamy crown from his tankard. Well, it splashed yellow near his boot. The diner, knife and fork upright, elbows on table, ready for second helping, stared towards the food left across his stained square of newspaper. Other chap telling him something with his mouth full. Sympathetic listener. Table talk. I munched hum through Winchester bunk on munch day. Hectares. Did you, Faith? Mr. Bloom raised 2 fingers doubtfully to his lips. His eyes said, not here. Don't see him. I hate dirty eaters. He backed towards the door. Get a light snack and Davy Burns. Stopgap. Keep me going. Get a good breakfast. Roasted mashed here. Pint of stout. Every fellow for his own, tooth and nail. Gulp. Grub. Gulp. Gulp stuff. He came out into clear air and turned back towards Grafton Street. Eat or be eaten. Kill. Kill. Suppose that communal kitchen years to come perhaps. All trotting down with powringers into mockins to be filled. Devour contents in the street. John Howard Parnell example the Provost of Trinity. Every mother's son, don't talk of your Provost and Provost of Trinity. Women and children, cabmen, priests, parsons, field marshals, bishops. From Aylesbury Road, Clyde Road, Artisans' Dwellings, North Dublin Union, Lord Mayor in his gingerbread coach, old Queen in a bath chair. My plate's empty. After you with our incorporated drinking cup. Like Sir Philip Crampton's fountain. Rub off the microbes with your handkerchief. Next chap rubs on a new batch with his. Father O'Flynn would make hairs of them all. Have rows all the same. All for number one. Children fighting for the scrapings of the pot. One to soup pot as big as the Phoenix Park. Harpooning flitches and hindquarters out of it. Hey people all round you. City Arms Hotel tabled hot, she called it. Soup, joint and sweet. Never know whose thoughts you were chewing. Then you'd wash up all the plates and forks. Might be all feeding on tabloids that time. Teeth getting worse and worse. After all, there's a lot in the vegetarian fine flavor of things from the earth. Garlic, of course, it stinks after Italian organ grinders, crisp onions, mushrooms, truffles. Pain to the animal too. Pluck and draw fowl. Wretched brutes there at the cattle market waiting for the Poliacs to split their skulls open. Moo. Poor trembling calves. Me? Staggering Bob. Bubble and squeak. Butcher's buckets, wobbly lights. Give us that brisket off the hook. Plip. Raw head and bloody bones. Flayed glass-eyed sheep hung from their haunches. Sheep snouts, bloody papered, sniveling nose, a jam on sawdust. Top and lashes going out. Don't maul them pieces, young one. Hot fresh blood they prescribe for decline. Blood always needed. Insidious. Lick it up smoking hot, thick sugary. Famished ghosts. Ah, I'm hungry. He entered Davy Burns' Moral Pub. He doesn't chat. Stands a drink now and then. But only up your ear once in four. Cashed a check from me once. What will I take now? He drew his watch. Let me see now. Shunned a gap. Hello, Bloom, Nosy Flynn said from his nook. Hello, Flynn. How's things? Tip-top. Let me see. I'll take a glass of burgundy and... Let me see. Sardines on the shelves. Almost tasted them by looking. Sandwich. Ham and his descendants, mustard and bread there. Potted meats. What is home without Pluntrey's potted meat? Incomplete. What a stupid ad. Under the obituary notices they stuck it. All up the Plumtree. Digham's potted meat. Cannibals wood with lemon and rice. Wild missionary too salty. Like pickled pork. Expect the chief consumes the parts of honor. Ought to be tough from exercise. His wives in a row to watch the effect. There was a right royal old nigger. Who ate or somethings of the Reverend Mr. McTrigger. With it an abode of bliss. Lord knows what concoction. Calls moldy tripes windpipes faked and minced up. Puzzle find the meat. Kosher. No meat and milk together. Hygiene, that was what they call now. Yonter fast spring cleaning of inside. Peace and war depend on some fellow's digestion. Religions. Christmas turkeys and geese. Slaughter of innocents. Eat, drink, and be merry. Then casual wards full after. Heads bandaged. Cheese digests all but itself. Melty cheese. Have you a cheese sandwich? Yes, sir. Like a few olives too if they had them. Italian I prefer. Good glass of Burgundy take away that lubricant. A nice salad, cool as a cucumber, Tom Kernan can dress. Puts gusto into it. Pure olive oil. Melly served me that cutlet with a sprig of parsley. Take one Spanish onion. God made food, the devil that cooks. Devilled crab. Wife well. Quite well, thanks. A cheese sandwich, then. Gorgonzola, have you? Yes, sir. Nosy Flint sipped his grog. Doing any singing those times. Look at his mouth. Could whistle in his own ear. Flap ears to match. Measle. Knows as much about it as my coachman. Still better tell him. Does no harm. Free ad. She's engaged for a big tour end of this month. You may have heard perhaps. No. Oh, that's the style. Who's getting it up? The curate served. How much is that? 70. Sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Bloom cut his sandwich into slender strips. Mr. McTrigger. Easier than the dream of creamy stuff. His 500 wives had the time of their lives. Mustard, sir. Thank you. He studied under each lifted strip yellow blobs. Their lives. I have it. It grew bigger and bigger and bigger. Getting it up. He said. Well, it's like a company idea, you see. Part shares and part profits. Ah, now I remember, Nosy Flint said, putting his hand in his pocket to scratch his groin. Who was this was telling me? Isn't Blazes boiling mixed up in it? A warm shotgunner heat of mustard hanched on Mr. Bloom's heart. He raised his eyes and met the stare of a bilious clock. Tick. Pub clock 5 minutes fast. Time going on. Hands moving. 2. Not yet. His midriff yearned then upward, sank within him, yearned more longingly. Wine. He sipped the cordial juice and, bidding his throat strongly to speed it, set his wine-glass delicately down. Yes, he said. He's the organizer in point of fact. No fear, no brains. Nosy Flint sniffled and scratched. Flea having a good square meal. He had a good slice of luck, Jack Mooney was telling me, over that boxing match Milakio won again at Soldier in the Portobello Barracks. By God, he had the little kipper down in the County Carlo he was telling me. Hope the dewdrop doesn't come down into his glass. No, snuffled it up. For near a month, man, before it came off. Sucking duck eggs by God till further orders. Keep him off the booze, see. Oh, by God, Blazes is a hairy chap. David Byrne came forward from the hen bar in tuck-stitched shirt sleeves, cleaning his lips with 2 wipes of his napkin. Herring's blush. Whose smile upon each feature plays with such and such replete. Too much fat on the parsnips. And here's himself and pepper on him, Nosy Flint said. Can you give us a good one for the Gold Cup? I'm off that, Mr. Flynn, Davy Byrne answered. I never put anything on a horse. You're right there, Nosy Flint said. Mr. Bloom ate his strips of sandwich, fresh clean bread, with relish of disgust pungent mustard, the feety savor of green cheese. Sips of his wine soothed his palate. Not logwood that tastes fuller this weather with the chill off. Nice quiet bar. Nice piece of wood in that counter. Nicely planed. Like the way it curves there. I wouldn't do anything at all in that line, Davy Byrne said. It ruined many a man. The same horses. Vintner's sweepstake. Licensed for the sale of beer, wine and spirits for consumption on the premises. Heads I win, tails you lose. True for you, Nosy Flint said. Unless you run the know. There's no straight sport going now. Lenahan get some good ones. He's giving scepter today. Zinfandale's the favorite. Lord Howard the Waldens won at Epsom. Morney Cannon is riding him. I could have got 7-1 against St. Amand a fortnight before. That's so, David Byrne said. He went towards the window and, taking up the Batai cash book, scanned its pages. I could, Faith, Nosy Flint said, snuffling. That was a rare bit of horse flesh. St. Frusquin was her sire. She won in a thunderstorm, Rothschild's filly, with wadding in her ears. Blue jacket and yellow cap. Bad luck to Big Ben Dollard and his John O'Gone. He put me off it. Hey. He drank resignedly from his tumbler, running his fingers down the flutes. Ah, he said, sighing. Mr. Bloom, champing, standing, looked upon his side. No sin on skull. Will I tell him that horse Lenahan? He knows already. Better let him forget. Go and lose more. Fool and his money. Dewdrop coming down again. Cold nose he'd have kissing a woman. Still they might like. Prickly beards they like. Dogs cold noses. Old Mrs. Reardon with the rumbling stomach, Skye Terrier in the City Arms Hotel. Molly fondling him in her lap. Oh, the big doggy bow, wowsy wowsy. Wine soaked in softened rolled pith of bread, mustard, a moment mawkish cheese. Nice wine it is. Tasted better because I'm not thirsty. Bath of course is that. Just a bite or two. Then about 6 o'clock I can. 6. Time will be gone then. She. Mild fire of wine kindled his veins. I wanted it badly. Felt so off color. His eyes unhungrily saw shelves of tins, sardines, gouda lobster's claws. All the odd things people pick up for food. Out of shells, periwinkles with a pin, off trees, snails out of the ground, the Frenchie, out of the sea with bait on a hook. Silly fish learn nothing in 1,000 years. If you didn't know, risk you putting anything into your mouth. Poisonous berries. Johnny McGorry's. Roundness you think good. Gaudy color warns you off. One fellow told another and so on. Try it on the dog first. Let on by the smell or the look. Tempting fruit. Ice cones. Cream. Instinct. Orange groves for instance. Need artificial irrigation. Blibberstrass. Yes, but what about oysters? Unsightly like a clot of phlegm. Filthy shells. Devil to open them to. Who found them out? Garbage, sewage they feed on. Fizzing red bank oysters. Effect on the sexual apparatus. He was in the red bank this morning. Was he oysters old fish at table? Perhaps the young flesh in bed no June has no are no oysters. But there are people like things high. Tainted game. Jugged hair. First catch your hair. Chinese eating eggs 50 years old, blue and green again. Dinner of 30 courses. Each dish harmless might mix inside. Idea for poison mystery. That Archduke Leopold was it no guess, or was it Otto, one of those Habsburgs? Or who was it using to eat the scruff off his own head? Cheapest lunch in town. Of course aristocrats, then the others copied to be in the fashion. Millie to rock oil and flour. Raw pastry I like myself. Half the catch of oysters the throwback in the sea to keep up the price. Cheap no one would buy. Caviar. The other grand. Hawk and green glasses. Swell blowout. Ladiness. Powdered bosom pearls. The A-light. Creme de la creme. They want special dishes to pretend they're Hermit with a platter of pulse keep down the stings of the flesh. No me come eat with me. Royal sturgeon high chef, coffee, the butcher, right the venisons of the forest from his example send him back the half of a cow. Spread I saw down in the master of the rolls kitchen area. White-headed chef like a rabbi. Combustible duck. Curly cabbage grave lottie chesty parm. Just as well to write it on the bill of fare so you can know what you've eaten. Too many drugs spoil the broth. I know it myself. Dosing it with Edward's desiccated soup. Geese stuffed silly for them. Lobsters boiled alive. Do take some ptarmigan. Wouldn't mind being a waiter in a swell hotel. Tips, evening dress, half-naked ladies. May I tempt you to a little more filleted lemon sole, Miss Dubdat? Yes, Dubdad. And she did dad. Huguenot name I expect that. And Miss Dubdat lived in Killiney, I remember. Do, they'll off French. Still it's the same fish, perhaps old Mickey Hanlon of Moore Street ripped the guts out of making money hand over fist, finger and fish gills can't write his name on a check, think he was painting the landscape with his mouth twisted. Moo kill H hectares ignorant as a kish of brogues, worth 50,000 pounds. Stuck on the pane 2 flies buzzed, stuck. Glowing wine on his palate lingered swallowed. Crushing in the wine press grapes of Burgundy. Sun's heated as seems to secret touch telling me memory. Touch his sense moistened remembered. Hidden under wild ferns on Hoth below us bay sleeping, sky. No sound. The sky. The bay purple by the lion's head. Green by Drumlet. Yellow green towards Sutton. Fields of undersea, the lines faint brown and grass, buried cities. Pilled on my coat she had her hair, earwigs in the heather scrub my hand under her nape, you'll toss me all. Oh wonder. Cool soft with ointments her hand touched me, caressed, her eyes upon me did not turn away. Ravished over her I lay, full lips full open, kissed her mouth. Yum. Softly she gave me in my mouth the seed cake warm and chewed. Mawkish pulp her mouth had mumbled sweet sour of her spittle. Joy, I ate it, joy. Young life, her lips that gave me patting. Soft warm sticky gum jelly lips. Flowers her eyes were, take me, willing eyes. Pebbles fell. She lay still. The goat. No one. High on Ben Hoth rhododendrons and a goat walking sure-footed, dropping currants. Screamed under ferns she laughed warm-folded. Wildly I lay on her, kissed her eyes, her lips, her stretched neck beating, woman's breasts full and her blouse of nun's veiling, fat nipples upright. Hot I tongued her. She kissed me. I was kissed. All yielding, she tossed my hair. Kissed, she kissed me. Me. And me now. Stuck, the flies buzzed. His downcast eyes followed the silent veining of the oaken slab. Beauty, it curves, curves are beauty. Shapely goddesses, Venus, Juno, curves the world admires. You can see them library museum standing in the round hall, naked goddesses. Aids to digestion. They don't care what man looks. All to see. Never speaking. I mean to say to fellows like Flynn. Suppose she did Pygmalion and Galatea, what would she say first? Mortal. Put you in your proper place. Quaffing nectar at mess with God's golden dishes, all ambrosial. Not like a tender lunch we have, boiled mutton, carrots and turnips, bottle of Allsop. Nectar, imagine it drinking electricity, God's food. Lovely forms of women's cult Junonian. Immortal lovely. And we stuffing food in one hole and out behind, food, blood, dung, earth, food, have to feed it like stoking an engine. They have no. Never looked. I look today. Keeper won't see. Bear him down, let something drop, see if she. Dribbling a quiet message from his bladder came to go to do not to there to do. A man and ready he drained his glass to the lees and walked, them into they gave themselves, manly conscience, lay with men lovers, a youth enjoyed her, to the yard. When the sound of his boots had ceased, Davy Byrne said from his book, "What is this he is? Isn't he in the insurance line? He's out of that long ago," Nosey Flint said. "He does canvassing for the Freeman." "I know him well to see," Davy Byrne said. "Is he in trouble?" "Trouble?" Nosey Flint said. "Not that I heard of." "Why?" "I noticed he was in mourning." "Was he?" Nosey Flint said. "So he was, faith." I asked him how was all at home. "You're right, by God." "So he was." I never broached the subject, Davy Byrne said humanely. "If I see a gentleman is in trouble that way, it only brings it up fresh in their minds. It's not the wife anyhow," Nosey Flint said. "I met him the day before yesterday and he coming out of that Irish farm dairy John Wise Nolan's wife has in Henry Street with a jar of cream in his hand taking it home to his better half. She's well nursed, I tell you. Plovers on toast." "And is he doing for the Freeman?" Davy Byrne said. Nosey Flint pursed his lips. He doesn't buy cream on the ads he picks up. You can make bacon of that." "How so?" Davy Byrne asked, combing from his book. Nosey Flint made swift passes in the air with juggling fingers. He winked. "He's in the craft," he said. "Do you tell me so?" Davy Byrne said. "Very much so," Nosey Flint said. "Ancient, free and accepted order. He's an excellent brother. Light, life and love, by God. They give him a leg up. I was told that by well, I won't say who." "Is that a fact?" "Oh, it's a fine order," Nosey Flint said. "They stick to you when you're down. I know a fellow was trying to get into it, but they're as close as damn it. By God, they did right to keep the women out of it." Davy Byrne's melodyne united all in one, I chalk. "There was one woman," Nosey Flint said, "hid herself in a clock to find out what they'd be doing. But be damned but to smelt her out and smore her in on the spot a master mason. That was one of the St. Ledgers of Donny Rail." Davy Byrne, sated after his yawn, said with tarry-washed eyes, And is that a fact? Decent, quiet man he is. I often saw him in here and I never once saw him, over the line. God Almighty couldn't make him drunk, no, Sue Flint said firmly. Slips off when the fun gets too hot. Didn't you see him look at his watch? Ah, you weren't there. If you ask him to have a drink, first thing he does, he outs with the watch to see what he ought to imbibe. Declare to God he does. There are some like that, Davy Byrne said. He's a safe man, I'd say. He's not too bad, no, Sue Flint said, snuffling it up. He's been known to put his hand down too to help a fellow. Give the devil his due. Oh, Bloom has his good points. But there's one thing he'll never do. His hand scrawled a dry pen signature beside his grog. I know, Davy Byrne said. Nothing in black and white, no, Sue Flint said. Pat Leonard and Bantam Lyons came in. Tom Rochford followed frowning, a planing hand on his claret waistcoat. Day, Mr. Byrne. Day, gentlemen. They paused at the counter. Who's standing? Pat Leonard asked. I am sitting anyhow, no, Sue Flint answered. Well, what'll it be? Pat Leonard asked. I'll take a stone ginger, Bantam Lyons said. How much? Pat Leonard cried. Since when, for God's sake? What's yours, Tom? How is the main drainage? Nosy Flint asked, sipping. For answer, Tom Rochford pressed his hand to his breast and him hiccupped. Would I trouble you for a glass of fresh water, Mr. Byrne? He said. Certainly, sir. Pat Leonard eyed his mates. Lord love a duck, he said. Look at what I'm standing drinks to. Cold water and ginger pop. Two fellows that would suck whiskey off a sore leg. He has some bloody horse up his sleeve for the gold cup. A dead snip. Zinfandels it. Nosy Flint asked. Tom Rochford spilled powder from a twisted paper under the water set before him. That cursed dyspepsia, he said before drinking. Bread soda is very good, Davy Byrne said. Tom Rochford nodded and drank. Is it Zinfandel? Say nothing. Bantam Lyons winked. I'm going to plunge 5 bob on my own. Tell us if you're worth your salt and be damned to you, Pat Leonard said. Who gave it to you? Mr. Bloom on his way out raised 3 fingers in greeting. So long. Nosy Flint said. The others turned. That's the man now that gave it to me, Bantam Lyons whispered. PRRWHT. Pat Leonard said with scorn. Mr. Byrne, sir, we'll take 2 of your small James-ons after that. Stone ginger, Davy Byrne added civilly. Ah, Pat Leonard said. A sucking bottle for the baby. Mr. Bloom walked towards Dawson Street, his tongue brushing his teeth smooth. Something green it would have to be, spinach, say. Then with those run ray surge like you could. At Duke Lane a ravenous terrier choked up a sick liquid on the cobblestones and lapped it with new zest. Surf it. Returned with thanks having fully digested the contents. First sweet then savory. Mr. Bloom coasted warily. Ruminants. His second course. Their upper jaw they move. Wonder if Tom Rochford will do anything with that invention of his. Wasting time explaining it to Flint's mouth. Lean people long mouths. Ought to be a hall or a place where inventors could go in and invent free. Course then you'd have all the cranks pestering. He hummed, prolonging in solemn echo the closes of the bars. Don Giovanni, a Santico women tasty. Feel better. Burgundy. Good pick-me-up. Who distilled first? Some chap in the blues. Dutch courage. That killed Kenny people in the National Library. Now I must bear clean closest tools waiting in the window of William Miller, plumber, turned back his thoughts. They could, and watch it all the way down, swallow a pin sometimes come out of the ribs years after, two around the body changing biliary duct spleen squirting liver gastric juice coils of intestines like pipes. But the poor buffer would have to stand all the time with his insides entrails on show. Science. A Santico. What does that tico mean? Tonight perhaps. Don Giovanni, thou hast me invited to come to supper tonight. The rum doesn't go properly. Keys, 2 months if I get in an attitude. That'll be £2.10, about £2.8. 3 Hines owes me. 2.11. Prescott's Dierks van over there. If I get Billy Prescott sad, 2.15. 5 guineas about. On the pig's back. Could buy one of those silk petticoats for Molly, color of her new garters. Today. Not think. To the south then. What about English watering places? Brighton, Margate. Piers by moonlight. Her voice floating out. Those lovely seaside girls. Against John Long's a drowsing loafer lounged in heavy thought, gnawing a crusted knuckle. Handyman wants job. Small wages. Will eat anything. Mr. Bloom turned at Gray's confectioner's window of unbought tarts and passed the Reverend Thomas Connelly's bookstore. Why I left the Church of Rome. Bird's nest. Women run him. They say they used to give pauper children soup to change the Protestants in the time of the potato blight. Society over the way pauper went to for the conversion of poor Jews. Same bait. Why we left the Church of Rome. A blind stripling stood tapping the curbstone with his slender cane. No tram in sight. Wants to cross. Do you want to cross? Mr. Bloom asked. The blind stripling did not answer. His Walfus frowned weakly. He moved his head uncertainly. You're in Dawson Street, Mr. Bloom said. Molesworth Street is opposite. Do you want to cross? There's nothing in the way. The cane moved out trembling to the left. Mr. Bloom's eye followed its line and saw again the Dierks van drawn up before Drago's, where I saw his brilliant hair just when I was. Horse drooping. Driver and John Longs, slacking his drouth. There's a van there, Mr. Bloom said, but it's not moving. I'll see you across. Do you want to go to Molesworth Street? Yes, the stripling answered. South Frederick Street. Come, Mr. Bloom said. He touched the thin elbow gently, then took the limp-seeing hand to guide it forward. Say something to him. Better not to the condescending. They mistrust what you tell them. Pass a common remark. The rain kept off. No answer. Stains on his coat. Slobbers his food, I suppose. Tastes all different for him. Have to be spoon-fed first. Like a child's hand, his hand. Like Millie's was. Sensitive. Sizing me up, I dare say, from my hand. Wonder if he has a name. Van. Keep his cane clear of the horse's legs. Tired drudge get his nose. That's right. Clear. Behind a bull, in front of a horse. Thanks, sir. Knows I'm a man. Voice. Right now. First turn to the left. The blind stripling tapped the curbstone and went on his way, drawing his cane back, feeling again. Mr. Bloom walked behind the eyeless feet, a flat-cut suit of herringbone tweed. Poor young fellow. How on earth did he know that van was there? Must have felt it. See things in their forehead perhaps, kind of sense of volume. Weight or size of it, something blacker than the dark. Wonder would he feel it if something was removed? Feel a gap. Queer idea of doubling he must have, tapping his way round by the stones. Could he walk in a beeline if he hadn't the cane? Bloodless, pious face like a fellow going in to be a priest. Penrose. That was a chap's name. Look at all the things they can learn to do. Read with their fingers. Tune pianos. Or we're surprised they have any brains. Why we think a deformed person or a hunchback clever if he says something we might say. Of course the other senses are more. Embroider. Plate baskets. People ought to help. Work basket I could buy from Aldi's birthday. Hates sewing. Might take an objection. Dark men they call them. Sense of smell must be stronger too. Smells on all sides, bunched together. Each strength different smell. Each person too. Then the spring, the summer, smells. Taste. They say you can't taste wines with your eyes shut or a cold in the head. Also smoke in the dark they say get no pleasure. And with a woman, for instance. More shameless not seeing. That girl passing the Stewart Institution, head in the air. Look at me. I have them all on. Must be strange not to see her. Kind of a form in his mind's eye. The voice, temperatures, when he touches her with his fingers must almost see the lines, the curves. His hands on her hair, for instance. Say it was black, for instance. Good. We call it black. Then passing over her white skin. Different feel perhaps. Feeling of white. Post office. Must answer. Fag today. Sent her postal order 2 shillings, half a crown. Accept my little present. Stationer's just here too. Wait. Think over it. With a gentle finger he felt ever so slow the hair combed back above his ears. Again. Fibers of fine straw. Then gently his finger felt the skin of his right cheek. Downy hair there too. Not smooth enough. The belly is the smoothest. No one about. There he goes into Frederick Street. Perhaps the Levinston's Dancing Academy piano. Might be settling my braces. Walking by Doran's public house he slid his hand between his waistcoat and trousers and, pulling aside his shirt gently, felt a slack fold of his belly. But I know it's white or yellow. Wanted to try in the dark to see. He withdrew his hand and pulled his dress to. Poor fellow. Quite a boy. Terrible. Really terrible. What dreams would he have, not seeing? Life a dream for him. Where's the justice being born that way? All those women and children excursion be at feast burned and drowned in New York. Holocaust. Karma they call the transmigration for sins you did in a past life. The reincarnation met him pike hoses. Dear, dear, dear. Pity, of course, but somehow you can't cotton on to them some way. Sir Frederick Falconer going into the Freemasons' Hall. Solemn as Troy. After his good lunch and Earl's fortes, old legal cronies cracking a magnum. Tales of the bench and assizes and annals of the Blumencoat School. I sentenced him to 10 years. I suppose he'd turn up his nose at that stuff I drank. Vintage wine for them, the ear marked on the dusty bottle. Has his own ideas of justice in the recorder's cower. Well-meaning old man. Police charge sheets crammed with cases get the percentage manufacturing crime. Sends them to the right about. The devil on moneylenders. Gave Reuben J. a great straw calling. Now he's really what they call a dirty Jew. Power those judges have. Crushed old toppers and wigs. Bear with a sour paw. And may the Lord have mercy on your soul. Hello, placard. Mirrors Czar. His Excellency the Lord Lieutenant. 16. The day it is. In aid of funds from Mercer's Hospital. The Messiah was first given for that. Yes. Handle. What about going up there, Ballsbridge? Drop in on keys. No use sticking to him like a leech. Wear out my welcome. Sure to know someone on the gate. Mr. Bloom came to Kildare Street. First I must. Library. Straw hat and sunlight. Tan shoes. Turned up trousers. It is. His heart co-op softly. To the right. Museum. Goddesses. He swerved to the right. Is it? Almost certain. Won't look. Wine in my face. Why did I? Too heady. Yes, it is. The walk. Not see. Get on. Making for the museum gate with long windy steps he lifted his eyes. Handsome building. Sir Thomas Dean designed. Not following me. Didn't see me perhaps. Light in his eyes. The flutter of his breath came forth in short sighs. Quick. Cold statues, quiet there. Safe in a minute. No. Didn't see me. After 2. Just at the gate. My heart. His eyes beating looked steadfastly at cream curves of stone. Sir Thomas Dean was the Greek architecture. Look for something his hasty hand went quick into a pocket, took out, read unfolded agenda with no time. Where did I? Busy looking. He thrust back quick agenda. Afternoon, she said. I am looking for that. Yes, that. Try all pockets. Hanker. Freeman. Where did I? Ah, yes. Trousers. Potato. Purse. Where? Hurry. Walk quietly. Moment more. My heart. His hand looking for the where did I put found in his hip pocket soap lotion have to call tepid paper stuck. Ah, soap there yes. Gate. Safe. Urbane, to comfort them, the Quaker librarian bird, and we have we not, those priceless pages of Wilhelm Meister? A great poet on a great brother poet. A hesitating soul taking arms against a sea of troubles, torn by conflicting doubts, as one sees in real life. He came a step a syncopace forward on the slither creaking and a step backward a syncopace on the solemn floor. A noiseless attendant setting open the door but slightly made him a noiseless beck. Directly, said he, creaking to go, albeit lingering. The beautiful ineffectual dreamer who comes to grief against hard facts. One always feels that Goethe's judgments are so true in the larger analysis. Twi-creakingly analysis he corantoed off. Bald, most zealous by the dollar, he gave his large ear all to the attendant's words, heard them, and was gone. Too late. Monsieur de la Palace, Stephen sneered, was alive 15 minutes before his death. Have you found those 6 brave medicals? John Clinton asked with eldest gall, to write Paradise Lost at your dictation. The sorrows of Satan calls it. Smile. Smile, Cranley's smile. First he tickled her, then he patted her, then he passed the female catheter. For he was a medical jolly old Meddy. I feel you would need one more for Hamlet. 7 is dear to the mystic mind. The shining 7 WB calls them. Glitterate his rufous skull close to his green cap. Desk clam saw the face bearded amid dark greener shadow, and Olaf, holy-eyed. He laughed low, a Caesar's laugh of Trinity, unanswered. Orchestral Satan, weeping many a rude tear such as angels weep. Et egliave del colfato trombetta. He holds my follies hostage. Cranley's 11 true would climb into free their siren. Gaped Kathleen, her 4 beautiful green fields, the stranger in her house. And one more to hail him, Avenue, Rabbi, the Tenali 12. In the shadow of the glen he cooes for them. My soul's youth I gave him, night by night. Godspeed. Good hunting. Mulligan has my telegram. Folly. Persist. Our young Irish bards, John Clinton censured, have yet to create a figure which the world will set beside Saxon Shakespeare's Hamlet, though I admire him, as old Ben did, on this side idolatry. All these questions are purely academic. Russell oracled out of his shadow. I mean, whether Hamlet is Shakespeare or James R. Essex. Clergymen's discussions of the historicity of Jesus. Art has to reveal to us ideas, formless spiritual essences. The supreme question about the work of art is out of how deep a life does it spring. The painting of Gustave Moreau is the painting of ideas. The deepest poetry of Shelley, the words of Hamlet bring our minds into contact with the eternal wisdom, Plato's world of ideas. All the rest is the speculation of schoolboys for schoolboys. A.E. has been telling some Yankee interviewer. Well, tarnation struck me. The show all men were schoolboys first, Stephen said super politely. Aristotle was once Plato's schoolboy. And has remained so, one should hope, John Clinton sedately said. One can see him, a modest schoolboy with his diploma under his arm. He laughed again at the now smiling bearded face. Formless spiritual. Father, word and holy breath. All Father, the heavenly man. Jesus Christos, magician of the beautiful, the Logos who suffers in us at every moment. This verily is that. I am the fire upon the altar. I am the sacrificial butter. Dunlop, Judge, the noblest Roman of them all, A.E. Harville, the name ineffable, and heaven high, K.H., their master, whose identity is no secret to adepts. Brothers of the Great White Lodge always watching to see if they can help. The Christ with the bride sister, moisture of light, born of an ensouled virgin, repentant Sophia, departed to the plain of booty. The life esoteric is not for ordinary person. O.P. must work off bad karma first. Mrs. Cooper Oakley once glimpsed her very illustrious sister H.P. Beazell medal. Oh, fie. Out on single quotee. Feud awful. You not in single quotee to look, Mrs. So you're not in single quote he when the ladies are showing of real middle. Mr. Best entered, tall, young, mild, light. He bore in his hand with grace a notebook, new, large, clean, bright. That model school boy, Stephen said, would find Hamlet's musings about the afterlife of his princely soul, the improbable, insignificant and undramatic monologue, as shallow as Plato's. John Clinton, frowning, said, waxing wroth, upon my word it makes my blood boil to hear anyone compare Aristotle with Plato. Which of the two, Stephen asked, would have banished him from his commonwealth? Unsheath your dagger definitions. Hoarseness is the witness of our horse. Streams of tendency and ends the worship. God, noise in the street, very peripatetic. Space, what you damn well have to see. Through spaces smaller than red globules of man's blood they creepy crawl after blanks buttocks into eternity of which this vegetable world is but a shadow. Hold to the now, the here, through which all future plunges to the past. Mr. Best came forward, amiable, towards his colleague. Haynes is gone, he said. Is he? I was showing him Jobainville's book. He's quite enthusiastic, don't you know, about Hyde's love songs on it. I couldn't bring him in to hear the discussion. He's gone to Gills to buy it. Bound thee forth, my booklet, quick to greet the callous public. Writ, I ween, 'twas not my wishing lean unlovely English. The peat smoke is going to his head, John Clinton opined. We feel in England. Penitent thief. Gone. I smoked his bocce. Green twinkling stone. An emerald set in the ring of the sea. People do not know how dangerous love songs can be, the arrogance of Russell warned occultly. The movements which work revolutions in the world are born out of the dreams and visions in the peasant's heart on the hillside. For them the earth is not an exploitable ground but the living mother. The rarefied air of the academy and the arena produce the 6-shilling novel, the musical song. France produces the finest flower of corruption and alarm, but the desirable life is revealed only to the pure of heart, the life of Homer's Phaeacians. From these words Mr. Best turned an unoffending face to Stephen. Mallarme, don't you know, he said, has written those wonderful prose poems Stephen McKenna used to read to me in Paris. The one about Hamlet. He says, Il Sopramen, listen to Oliver de Louis Maine, don't you know, reading the book it himself. He describes Hamlet given in a French town, don't you know, a provincial town. They advertised it. His free hand graciously wrote tiny signs in there. Hamlet to let a straight P.S. is Shakespeare, he repeated to John Clinton's new gathered frown, P.S. is Shakespeare, don't you know. It's so French. The French point of view. Hamlet too. The absent-minded beggar, Stephen ended. John Clinton laughed. Yes, I suppose it would be, he said. Excellent people, no doubt, but distressingly short-sighted in some matters. Sumptuous and stagnant exaggeration of murder. A deathsman of the soul, Robert Greene called him, Stephen said. Not for nothing was he butcher's son, wielding the sleded polyaxe and spitting in his palms. 9 lives are taken off for his father's one. Our Father who art in purgatory. Khaki Hamlets don't hesitate to shoot. The blood-boltered shambles in Act 5 is a forecast of the concentration camp sung by Mr. Swinburne. Cranley, his mute orderly, following battles from afar. Whelps and dams of murderous foes whom none but we had spared. Between the Saxon smile and Yankee hawk. The devil in the deep sea. He will have it that Hamlet is a ghost story, John Clinton said for Mr. Best Boof. Like the fat boy in Pickwick, he wants to make our flesh creep. List. List. Oh, list. My flesh hears him, creeping, hears. If thou didst ever. What is a ghost? Stephen said with tingling energy. One who has faded into impalpability through death, through absence, through change of manners. Elizabethan London lay as far from Stratford as corrupt Paris lies from virgin Dublin. Who was the ghost from limbo patrum, returning to the world that has forgotten him? Who was King Hamlet? John Clinton shifted his spare body, leaning back to judge. Lifted. It is this hour of a day in mid-June, Stephen said, begging with a swift glance their hearing. The flag is up on the playhouse by the bankside. The bare sacristan growls in the pit near it, Paris Garden. Canvas climbers who sailed with drink chew their sausages among the groundlings. Local color. Work and all you know. Make them accomplices. Shakespeare has left the Huguenot's house on Silver Street and walks by the swan mews along the river bank. But he does not stay to feed the pinchiving her game of cygnets towards the rushes. The swan of Avon has other thoughts. Composition of place. Ignatius Loyola, make haste to help me. The player begins. A player comes on under the shadow, made up in the cast-off mail of a court buck, a well-set man with a bass voice. It is the ghost, the king, a king and no king, and the player is Shakespeare, who has studied Hamlet all the years of his life which were not vanity in order to play the part of the spectre. He speaks the words to Burbage, the young player who stands before him beyond the rag of churcloth, calling him by name, Hamlet, I am thy father's spirit, bidding him list. To a son he speaks, the son of his soul, the prince, young Hamlet, and to the son of his body, Hamnet Shakespeare, who has died in Stratford that his namesake may live forever. Is it possible that that player Shakespeare, a ghost by absence, and in the vesture of buried Denmark, a ghost by death, speaking his own words to his own son's name, had Hamnet Shakespeare lived, who would have been Prince Hamlet's twin? Is it possible, I want to know, or probable that he did not draw the physiological conclusion of those premises? You are the dispossessed son, I am the murdered father, your mother's the guilty queen, and Shakespeare, born Hathaway. But this prying into the family life of a great man, Russell began impatiently. Art thou there, Trelawney? Interesting only to the parish clerk. I mean, we have the plays. I mean, when we read the poetry of King Lear, what is it to us how the poet lived? As for living, our servants can do that for us, Villiers the Elder has said. Peeping and prying into green room gossip of the day, the poet's drinking, the poet's debts. We have King Lear, and it is immortal. Mr. Best's face, appealed to, agreed. Flow over them with your waves and with your waters, Manannan made clear. How now, Sirrah, that pound you lent you when you were hungry? Marry, I wanted it. Take thou this noble. Go to. You spent most of it in Georgina Johnson's bed, clergyman's daughter. Agent but the Vinwick. Do you intend to pay it back? Oh, yes. When? Now? Well. No. When, then? I paid my way. I paid my way. Steady on. He's from Bourne Water. The northeast corner. You owe it. Wait. 5 months. Molecules all change. I am other eye now. Other eye got pound. Buzz. Buzz. But I, in a licky form of forms, Am I by memory, because under ever-changing forms, I that sinned and prayed and fasted, a child can be saved from panties. Do you mean to fly in the face of the tradition of 3 centuries? John Clinton's carping voice asked. Her ghost at least has been laid forever. She died, for literature at least, before she was born. She died, Stephen retorted, 67 years after she was born. She saw him into and out of the world. She took his first embraces. She bore his children, and she laid pennies on his eyes to keep his eyelids closed when he lay on his deathbed. Mother's deathbed. Candle. The sheeted mirror. Who brought me into this world lies there, bronze-lighted, under few cheap flowers. Lelia Rudy Latin. I wept alone. John Clinton looked in the tangled glowworm of his lamp. The world believes that Shakespeare made a mistake, he said, and got out of it as quickly and as best he could. Bosh. Stephen said rudely. A man of genius makes no mistakes. His errors are volitional and are the portals of discovery. Portals of discovery opened to let in the Quaker librarian, soft creak-footed, bald, eerily assiduous. A shrew, John Clinton said shrewdly, is not the useful portal of discovery, one should imagine. What useful discovery did Socrates learn from Xanthippe? Dialectic, Stephen answered, from his mother how to bring thoughts into the world. What he learned from his other wife Murdo absent nomen. Socrates did in Xanthippe, no man, not a woman, will ever know. But neither the midwife's lore nor the Codley lectures saved him from the archons of Sinn Fein and their nagging of hemlock. But Anne Hathaway, Mr. Best's quiet voice said forgetfully. Yes, we seem to be forgetting her as Shakespeare himself forgot her. His look went from Bruder's beard to Carpa's skull, to remind, to chide them not unkindly, then to the bald pink Lollard Costner, guiltless the maligned. He had a good gross worth of wit, Stephen said, and no truant memory. He carried the memory in his wallet as he trudged to Rimville whistling the girl I left behind me. If the earthquake did not time it, we should know where to place poor Watt, sitting in his form, the cry of hounds, the studded bridle and her blue windows. That memory, Venus and Adonis, lay in the bedchamber of every light of love in London. Is Catherine the shrew favored? Hortensio calls her young and beautiful. Do you think the writer of Antony and Cleopatra, a passionate pilgrim, had his eyes in the back of his head that he chose the ugliest doxy in all Warwickshire to lie withal? Good, he left her and gained a world of men. But his boy women are the women of a boy. Their life, thought, speech are lent them by males. He chose badly. He was chosen, it seems to me. If others have their will, Anne Hathaway. By cock, she was to blame. She put the commether on him, sweet and 26. The gride goddess who bends over the boy Adonis, stooping to conquer, his prologue to the swelling act, is a bold-faced Stratford went to tumbles in a cornfield to love younger than herself. And my turn. When? Come. Refilled, Mr. Best said brightly, gladly, raising his new book, gladly, brightly. He murmured then with blonde delight, for all, between the acres of the rye these pretty country folk would lie. Paris, the well-pleased pleaser. The tall figure and bearded homespun rose from shadow and unveiled its cooperative watch. I am afraid I am due at the homestead. Whither away? Exploitable ground. Are you going? John Clinton's active eyebrows asked. Shall we see you at Moore's tonight? Piper is coming. Piper. Mr. Best piped. Is Piper back? Peter Piper pecked a peck of pickled pepper. I don't know if I can. Thursday. We have our meeting. If I can get away in time. J-Box and Dawson Chambers. Isis unveiled. Their Paley book we tried to pawn. Cross-legged under umber-shooty thrones and Aztec logos, functioning on astral levels, their oversoul, Mahatma. The faithful Hermetis await the light, ripe for fellowship, ring-ground about him. Lewis H. Victory. T. Caulfield Irwin. Lotus ladies tend the mother eyes, the pineal glands aglow. Filled with his god, he thrones, boot under plantain. Gulfer of souls, engulfer. He souls, she souls, shoals its souls. Engulfed with wailing Kriya cries, whirled, whirling, they bewail. In quintessential triviality for years in this flesh 'cause she sold well. They say we're to have a literary surprise, the Quaker librarian said, friendly and earnest. Mr. Russell, rumor has it, is gathering together a sheaf of our younger poets' verses. We are all looking forward anxiously. Anxiously he glanced in the cone of lamplight where three faces, lighted, shone. See this. Remember. Stephen looked down on a wide headless quobean, hung on his splint handle over his knee. My casket sword. Touched lightly with two index fingers. Aristotle's experiment. One or two. Necessity is that in virtue of which it is impossible that one can be otherwise. Argle, one hat is one hat. Listen. Young Coleman Starkey. George Roberts is doing the commercial part. Longworth will give it a good puff in the Express. Oh, will he? I like the columns drover. Yes, I think he has that queer thing genius. Do you think he has a genius really? Yeats admired his line, as in wild earth a Grecian vase. Did he? I hope he'll be able to come tonight. Malachi Mulligan is coming too. Moore asked him to bring Haynes. Did you hear Miss Mitchell's joke about Moore and Martin? Or that Martin's wild oats? Awfully clever, isn't it? They remind one of Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. Our national epic has yet to be written, Dr. Sigerson says. Moore is the man for it. A knight of the rueful countenance here in Dublin, with a saffron kilt. O'Neill Russell. Oh, yes, he must speak the grand old tongue. And his Dulcinea? James Stephens is doing some clever sketches. We're becoming important, it seems. Cordelia. Cordelio. Lear's Lanelli's daughter. Nokshotten. Now your best French Polish. Thank you very much, Mr. Russell, Stephen said, rising. If you will be so kind as to give the letter to Mr. Norman. Oh, yes. If he considers it important it will go in. We have so much correspondence. I understand, Stephen said. Thanks. God healed you. The pig's paper. Bullock befrowning. Sinch has promised me an article for Dana too. Are we going to be read? I feel we are. The Gaelic League wants something in Irish. I hope you will come round tonight. Bring Starkey. Stephen sat down. The Quaker librarian came from the Levitt Acres. Blushing, his mask said, Mr. Daedalus, your views are most illuminating. He creaked to and fro, tiptoeing up near heaven by the altitude of a Chopin, and, covered by the noise of outgoing, said low, is it your view, then, that she was not faithful to the poet. Alarmed face asks me, why did he come? Courtesy or an inward light? Where there is a reconciliation, Stephen said, there must have been first descending. Yes. Chris Fox in leather trews, hiding, a runaway in blighted tree forks, from hue and cry. Knowing a vixen, walking lonely in the chase. Women he won to him, tender people, a whore of Babylon, ladies of justices, bully tapsters' wives. Fox and geese. And in a new place a slack dishonored body that once was comely, once as sweet, as fresh as cinnamon, now her leaves falling, all bare, frighted of the narrow grave and unforgiven. Yes. So you think. The door closed behind the outgoer. Rest suddenly possessed the discreet vaulted cell, rest of warm and brooding air. A vessel's lamp. Here he ponders things that were not, what Caesar would have lived had he believed the soothsayer, what might have been, possibilities of the possible as possible, things not known, what name Achilles bore when he lived among women. Coffin thoughts around me, and among my cases, embalmed in spice of words. Thoth, god of libraries, a bird god, moon eye crown. And I heard the voice of that Egyptian hypnotist. And painted chambers loaded with till books. There still. Once quickened the brains of men. Still, but an itch of death is in them, to tell me in my ear a maudlin tale, urge me to wreak their will. Certainly, John Clinton mused, of all great men he is the most enigmatic. We know nothing but that he lived and suffered. Not even so much. Others abide our question. A shadow hangs over all the rest. But Hamlet is so personal, isn't it? Mr. Best pleaded. I mean, a kind of private paper, don't you know, of his private life. I mean, I don't care a button, don't you know, who is killed or who is guilty. He rests in an innocent book on the edge of the desk, smiling his defiance. His private papers and the original. Tom Bad Orinter. Time and Moshagar. Put Burla on it, Little John. Quoth Little John Eglinton, I was prepared for paradoxes from what Malachi Mulligan told us, but I may as well warn you that if you want to shake my belief that Shakespeare's Hamlet, you have a stern task before you. Bear with me. Stephen withstood the bane of miscreant eyes glinting stern under wrinkled brows. The basilisk. E quando vi di ella omoella tosca. Messer Brunetto, I thank thee for the word. As we, for Mother Dana, weave and unweave our bodies, Stephen said, from day to day, their molecules shuttled to and fro, so does the artist weave and unweave his image. And as the mole on my right breast is where it was when I was born, though all my body has been woven of new stuff time after time, so through the ghost of the unkilled father the image of the unliving son looks forth. An intense instant of imagination, when the mind, Shelley says, is a fading coal, that which I was is that which I am, that which in possibility I may come to be. So in the future, the sister of the past, I may see myself as I sit here now, but by reflection from that which then I shall be. Drummond of Hawthornden help you at that style. Yes, Mr. Best said youngly. I feel Hamlet quite young. The bitterness might be from the father, but the passages with Ophelia are surely from the son. Has the wrong sow by the look? He isn't my father. I am in his son. That mole is the last to go, Stephen said, laughing. John Clinton made a nothing pleasing moe. If that were the birthmark of genius, he said, genius would be a drug in the market. The plays of Shakespeare's later years which Renan admired so much breathe another spirit. The spirit of reconciliation, the Quaker librarian breathed. There can be no reconciliation, Stephen said, if there has not been a sundering. Said that. If you want to know what are the events which cast their shadow over the hill at time of King Lear, Othello, Hamlet, Troilus and Cressida, look to see when and how the shadow lifts. What softens the heart of a man, shipwrecked in storms dire, tried, like another Ulysses, Pericles, Prince of Tyre. Head, red kneecapped, buffeted, blinded. A child, a girl, placed in his arms, Marina. The leaning of Cephas towards the bypaths of Apocrypha is a constant quantity, John Glidden detected. The high roads are dreary but they lead to the town. Good bacon, gone musty. Shakespeare Bacon's wild oats. Cipher jugglers going the high roads. Seekers on the great quest. What town, good masters? Mumden names, A.E., Ian, McGee, John Glidden. East of the sun, west of the moon, Turner and Og. Booted the twain and staved. How many miles to Dublin? 70, sir. Will we be there by candlelight? Mr. Brands accepts it, Stephen said, as the first play of the closing period. Does he? What does Mr. Sidney Lee, or Mr. Simon Lazarus as some ever his name is, say of it?